Yes, welcome to Fishburners TV!
Hey, we're here.
So, tonight we've had an investor pitch night. Gareth has a startup called Insolvency Australia, is that right?
That's right, absolutely. Been going for like 2 years and coming to the stage where we want to be doing this.
And the name says it all, does it, really?
Yeah, so we're trying to create a marketplace for those businesses that need help and assistance when their business needs restructuring, they need help, advice, funding. We provide the marketplace to give them that access, to democratise that information.
Why do you need a marketplace versus just going to an insolvency company? Because everyone, when you get to that point in the business, you really don't care that much, do you? You just want to get it done, right? So why go to a marketplace?
Yeah, there's lots of different ways you can crumble the cookie, so to speak, and actually very often it's built on relationships only. So you'll go to your accountant who may have a relationship with an insolvency specialist or a funder. That doesn't necessarily mean they're the right provider of the advice that's right for you. It's just who they last had lunch with. So we're trying to democratise that and make it available for anybody that needs help to find the right people to help them at the right time in the right way.
Brilliant. How's it going?
Really good. I mean, it's a difficult time at the moment for the market because businesses are struggling.
Yeah. So that's probably good for you.
So that's kind of good for us. But we want to provide that advice in a way that helps them at a time when they need it, rather than just going through the relationship, lunches, golf day, networking approach, which we think is at the time, that's from the 80s.
Right. What did you get out of tonight? So we had our investor pitch night, 4 great Fishburner companies. What did you get from it?
Look, what I learned from tonight is all 4 of these companies that are presenting tonight have benefited from the community at Fishburners. They've been working with each other, they bump into each other over the coffee table, they're learning from each other, they've got networks and access to other people. They're at different stages of development, but I think the fact that they've progressed things more proactively, with more energy through being part of that community is quite inspired me.
Yeah.
And seeing what they've been doing now, I kind of think, I want to jump on that and get to the stage they're at.
Perfect. So we're going to see you in Fishburners soon, aren't we?
Yeah, I've been coming for a couple of years and coming to these pitch nights, which again are inspiring, and comes to lunch and learns and other things, but it's about actually just going to that next level, and that's what I think it's all about.
So do you have a bit of fear and resistance about that?
I think it's about learning as well. I've been around a bit, I've been in business, I've done startups before, but learning the current market, the current networks and the people, there's a lot to learn. You've got to make that step and jump in, haven't you?
So, going from where you are to the next stage, I mean, it is all about fear, right? And it's you gotta have the business to the point where it's sustainable for you to take enough money from it to make that jump. And we see it in Fishburners time and time again that people come in with great ideas, they build MVPs, and then they just find it too hard, right? And I feel this sort of sense of that how can we help people get through that, because it's so important. And you're a good example right now. You've got a great idea, a great brand, but if you keep going as you are, you're not going to get to that next level.
And I think that's such a good question. I've been here before in other businesses, and I've advised other businesses on this as well. It's about how do you make that step change. At the moment, it's primarily being bootstrapped and running out of cash flow, which is fine. But actually, if we want to have the impact we need to have, we do need the help and input of others. And that's the stage we're at, and I see it with other businesses as well. And it's about making that step change.
Okay, so I'm going to bring in a guy who pitched tonight, David Jones from Contextual. And I'm going to ask David to sort of take that conversation a little bit further. So hold on one, I'm going to go get it.
David is at that stage.
Stay there. David.
G'day, how are you?
Hey David, I'm Gareth, how are you?
Hey Gareth.
Good to see you.
David, take a seat, David. First of all, great presentation.
Oh really?
Congratulations.
You understood what do we do?
Yeah, I did, I got it. But it was the slides by themselves, that's all. But well done, you won the Judges Award, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
This gentleman is an interesting, he has a company called Insolvency Australia. And he's doing it as a startup, there's 2 people, but he's still doing it as a part-time gig, right? So he's doing it and he's got another job, and he's finding very hard to make the transition to a full-time, doing it full-time. Now, you've built some incredible businesses in the past. You're a big part of the Fishburners community. You're a big part of understanding what that means and how people do that.
Right.
So let's just start this little interview by just saying to Gareth, what's your advice on that next step for him? Does he need to have other people's money to do that? Does he need to have enough revenue to do that? Or is it just a gut feel that he's onto something which will generate that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you want to be able to know whether it actually will have people pay for it, right? So you know, a funny thing happened a couple of years ago. We were working on an app, and we had like a dozen people in the room, and we said, you know, what do you think of this? And they're going, oh, it's great, you know, this is fantastic. And we said, you know, will you give us some money in terms of as a user, not as an investor? We just said, okay, so if you like it that much, how much will you give us for it? And they went, you know, $2? And it was like one of those things that's like a come to mama moment, which is like people will tell anything to be nice to you, but you got to get to the brutal truth, which is like, so, you know, at the moment, do you have people paying you for what you're doing?
Yeah, I think our question's one of scale at the minute. We're running it quite well, efficiently and profitably,
Yep.
and it's getting good results for us and our clients.
Yep.
But in order to escalate that, we could organically grow, for the sake of argument, 10% of growth per year for the next 10 years. And it'll get us to a very solid, robust position. But actually, particularly with the state of the market at the moment, I think we've got a bit of an opportunity at the minute to escalate that and exponentially grow it.
Right.
And to be fair, we probably can't do that out of cash flow.
Right.
So the question, if it's not out of cash flow, how do we escalate it? So do I continue to bootstrap it? Do I look for outside investors? How do we get it to that next stage, to get that multiple? And that's the challenge, I think, for me and so many other businesses.
Yeah, and I think there's an extra dimension that I've learnt, which is a really tough lesson, which is if something becomes a hot sector, then possibly other people who have got the same solution, but they go and get investors, it starts to reduce the number of potential investors that might match what you do. Yeah. And so it's actually good to go out there and actually just run it by them, get advice, and then you can keep building the business as a bootstrap or a side hustle, you know, if you've got a profitable business anyway. And it might just be that you find the right sort of, you know, funding partner or somebody who'll give you the financial scaffolding to go with the business you've got. And at least through talking with them and getting advice from them, you may actually find somebody that's really good for that. So it's good to do that because they may disappear off the table if they're really interested in what you do. Yeah.
And I'd love to extend that question back to you two who've been through this process before. I've had a number of people said, look, I'm interested in investing, which is great, come to me voluntarily. But it's a question of how do you put a valuation on that? And what is of value to them? Is that the same to me? They're relatively small numbers, I'm sure, but where do you put the logic on that? And versus, do I want to dilute for a relatively small amount? So that's a really interesting question at this stage.
Actually, perfect question for you. You didn't mention valuation tonight, did you, in your pitch deck?
No, I was quite happy to have that discussion, but not on a live stream.
Yeah, so that's interesting because David's raising $1 million, which I think is way too little, but it's a very early investment. And we've proven founders and a huge opportunity ahead. And this is where I think the whole valuation thing is interesting because when it's very, very early, you can give away a lot too quickly. And $1 million...
Which I've done.
Which you've done in the past.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And it's the most critical part of your business to get right. So it's just a really hard call. But you know, ultimately it's about getting someone over the line to give you the capital to take you to the next level. So if you can create the value, it doesn't matter. But in most cases, you don't, and you lose so much. And it's really hard. So I don't know how you're thinking about it right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always this question of are you pre or post product market fit? So if you've actually already got to a point where people are willing to pay, you can start to sort of like get a sense about, well, how would I scale this and so on. The answer to should I dilute actually is yes, because if competitors are going to go out there and do that, then it's really a question of having a smaller piece of a larger pie, and whether you're actually competing on a global landscape or whether you feel as though this is something that's so unique to your geography that you won't have a lot of competitors and you can really get out there fast and do that. So I think it's always that kind of question around bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is really nice because it allows you to have it, but you may ultimately get outflanked by other people who figured out that there's a way to grow a larger pie here. So don't think too small. I thought that was really good with what you did with the first pitch, and you said, 10 cities,
100
cities. So it went from like a small idea to a big idea and huge potential. So if you can kind of, sort of ideate in your own mind what the potential is, then that's the kind of conversation to have with some potential investors, because somebody else will be thinking along the same lines. Then that's a bigger pie to slice up.
I also think in your space, the insolvency space, which is also the accounting space, you have a lot of people there who that's their job to raise money, right, and manage money. So they actually would be interesting investors in themselves. So, remember realestate.com.au? They started and they were very successful because Ray White invested in that company, and Ray White was the largest real estate company in Australia at the time. So it gives you sort of a double whammy. It gives you the capital plus the access to that customer base. And if you're building a marketplace, my first thing too is go to the big guys in insolvency and get one of them involved. And they're like gold. If you can get one of those in, it's the strategic value they give you as well. It sort of blows away the valuation. Ray White made more money, has made more money through that investment than he ever's done in any of his franchise. So that it's both ways, right? Both ways.
So I'll provide a counter opinion, which is be very careful about strategic investors, because they may scare off other investors as well too. So that's great. Have them on as an advisor, or if you feel as though they're actually the logical outcome, that's great. The Ray White thing's not that bad in the sense that they were probably never going to be a purely online business. But if it's somebody that's literally going to acquire you, and they're sitting on the cap table, they're going to get first look at what's going on with the business and potentially scaring off other people coming in. So it's a trickier path to navigate.
Okay, I'm going to introduce. So we have the judges winner, and we have the audience winner. So this is from our Investor Ready pitch night. Thank you. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Scott. Guys, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to both of you. Creating just amazing businesses already, and the potential going forward is to create really big businesses. So I just want to give you the floor. We have Fishburners TV, where we have lots of people watching. Just talk a little bit about your business, and what I think more importantly is how you're going to scale the business. So what are your real vision and size of this going forward? I think that's the one thing from you, David. I didn't see that. So I saw a little bit of yours from what you've done in the UK and other markets, down that path and other products. But what I really didn't understand is, the markets are big in your particular case, but how big do you want your business to be? I think that, for me, it's always in the founder's hands. And it's always about the fear versus the opportunity. Because as you go bigger, there's a greater fear, but as the opportunity gets bigger, you sort of ride that wave. And I think right now you're in interesting positions, because you could make these very good small businesses. You can make them really interesting medium-sized businesses, but you in particular, David, have an opportunity to make this a really, really big business. So I just want your thoughts on that, because I didn't really get that tonight in your pitch. So maybe you can start on that?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question for us. I guess the markets that we operate in, indoor plants, herbs and leafy greens, the global indoor plant market is a $109 billion market. The leafy green market is $50 billion for fresh herbs. So those are two big markets that we currently operate in, but we want to expand. We want to go into vegetables and agriculture as a whole. So we want people to be able to grow whatever they want in the comfort of their own home. So tomatoes, eggplant, zucchini, leaf, that sort of stuff. Those are things that...
So come on, let's get down to it. Yep. What size of business do you want to grow? So all that stuff about you both have huge business opportunities, but I'm looking as a founder. What would you say in your legacy or whatever, the size of business you want to grow right now from where you are? Let's have a number.
I think in about 5 years we could be doing 50 mil annual revenue.
50 million.
That's based off the forecast that we've done for the raise. Obviously, we're not really allowed to talk
David,
about
I'm going to ask you the same. David, I'm going to ask you the same question. 5 years' time, what size of business is this for you?
It feels too late. Yeah, mean, for us, it's a really interesting sector because there's been platforms like customer success platforms that are further down the track. So I think we'll see some roll-ups in the next 5 years. If we're doing 20 million, that's kind of like a good number. We don't need to actually, to go all the way. Sorry, I'm losing my voice post-COVID. So we don't need to go all the way because there are roll-ups that will happen, and like Amplitude, for example, they'll build out their suite customer success platforms. So I think we just basically build and build and build. We want to make it big, but we don't actually have to put a number on it because we know if we do the right thing, there'll be a number of opportunities along the way. So it could go anyway.
But I do think it's an interesting thing to ask yourself because it sort of sets your own where you want to be from a scale perspective, right? And I think your opportunity is bigger than that, David. I think you're being very humble and modest about 20 million, but that also reflects probably where you are in terms of what you want to achieve, right? 20 million business where
That's right, what's the next stepping stone, if you like?
Yeah, and but 20 million business, you're a software business with a very, very high multiple behind that. So, you're a manufacturing business with a very low multiple behind it. So 50 million for you, has to be sort of the minimum level. 20 million for David is actually quite high from a purely virtual software.
SaaS.
Yeah, SaaS. So he'll have 20 million with probably not many more people required to get to that point. But you'll have to manufacture $50 million worth of product, which is a lot of product, right? Yeah. So that's why you get that valuation. But
yeah, we can miss a quarter in terms of new business, but recurring revenue becomes a real engine of growth.
Yeah, it does. It becomes everything. So I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go get one of the judges for tonight. Just please keep talking about tonight, what you learned, or how it was for you. David's going to leave us because he's lost his voice. But I'm going to go get one of the judges who participated as well.
He's giving me a mic and the ability to say whatever I want.
Yeah, you fire away because I'm going to go get someone else. So
Okay.
just tell us a little bit about what you did in the UK. Tell us, share that with the camera, what you did in the UK.
Okay, so at the end of 2020, we realized that there was a significant market opportunity in the UK. Obviously, the climate is very suitable to growing food indoors. Outdoors, it's wet, it's miserable, you don't get much sunlight. It's not a very great place to grow plants. People live in quite small homes, they're very densely packed. It makes it kind of a perfect market for hydroponics. So we thought we'd run a bit of a trial. We had a mentor in the UK at the time, and we set up some products in her living room, and she actually fulfilled telling the story about UK launch, and she actually fulfilled all of our orders from the UK in her living room while we did marketing from here. The total cost of that investment was less than 50,000, so that's products, marketing, labour, everything all included, and that gave us a really good idea of whether the market was viable. Since then, we scaled it out. We got a proper distribution company. We built out a proper marketing funnel. We built out a proper website. The original one was quite clunky, and we've gotten it to the point where it's like consistently running. We ran out of stock at the start of the year, but we've got a container that's landing there now, and with that container, with that new stock, we hope to be able to kind of continue our growth and continue sales in the UK, because that was quite a significant chunk of the business. As a hardware company, we can use the same staff, the same resources, like, in terms of marketing content and stuff like that, to sell, between one region, two regions, three regions, four regions. So hitting economies of scale will help us kind of expand sales while also, manufacturing more. We can bring down the product cost. So it's quite important to us. I think I've talked my head off.
No, it sounds fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, so sorry, I've been given a microphone and told to sit down, but your pitch was fantastic. It was really good.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The product sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I actually, are we live? Are we on? Yeah, we're good. Okay. I actually, I don't know if the viewers need to know this, but I'm pretty sure my mum bought me one of your setups when I lived in London.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
Like, I looked at it and I was like, I swear I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And it had like a basil and a like coriander and it was like 5 things and a light. And I was
perfect.
Pretty sure I bought this. Like,
yeah.
But it was amazing. It was really good.
Yeah. It's a growing market. Like, we see ourselves as currently being the gardening company for indoors. gardening hasn't gone away. People will live in apartments, they'll live in smaller homes, but they're still going to garden. They still need a connection to plants, a connection to nature. We want to see that bigger vision as we grow and develop new products, whereas there's competition for what we do in America. They've been very focused on just herbs and leafy greens, which is sort of like the hallmark of a VC-backed company. They've got one product, and that's all they sell. We kind of plan to be a bit broader than that.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's really cool. You're so right in that, like, I think there's like cost of living rises, and people are like more pinched on all sides. If I don't know, 30 years old, living in Sydney, of course I'm not probably going to buy a house with a big garden anytime soon. Do I like the idea of growing my own veggies? Like, yeah, that's actually great if I can do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, the average block of land in Australia has gone down 23% since 2005. So obviously that's driven by like the rising cost of homes and land. So people having smaller homes, I don't think I explained it properly in the pitch, but if you've got a normal-sized home and a tiny garden, you're not going to grow herbs and leafy greens and plants in that garden. You're going to be kicking a footy around with your young kids.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to bring that gardening experience indoors, give people the satisfaction of having a garden, growing their own food and doing all of that. Yeah.
And it's interesting because there is such satisfaction growing your own food, right? Or like cooking your own meal. It's actually like, it's great.
Yeah, it's a great hobby, and it has a lot of mental health benefits as well. Like, I think UTS recently released a paper on the mental health benefits of plants, and I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but basically like anxiety, depression, tenseness, like all of those things get reduced when you're in an environment that has a lot of plants in it, which is a crazy psychological effect, but I definitely think it makes a difference. I know when we were selling during COVID, there were a whole range of customers who were saying like, I'm stuck at home doing nothing, but your plant keeps me present. Every day I come home.
Good for conversation as well, I hear these plants.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
listeners.
Yeah, they're great to chat to.
They're worrying when they talk back.
It's really like, you come home and you see a new leaf that's grown and it's progress. So I think people get very excited about that.
You're so right, actually. Also, like on the mental health aspect, it's actually really key, and it's like pretty critical. The science is almost like undeniable now. Like there's a really cool company who's in a similar position to you called Unyoked, and they basically say like, come to these really cool little cabins in the woods, get lost, switch off, like be immersed in nature for a couple of days, and just like detox. It's fantastic, and like having that at your fingertips, especially at like as we get more and more technologically involved, like the amount, I don't know, getting on the train in the morning, everyone's on a phone, everyone's got headphones in,
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about physical products and experiences. Like we are going in a world where all the money is going towards software, and a lot of people watching this will probably see that and be like, yeah, that's great. But also, like, people still live in the physical world. There's a lot of ways that we can make it better. Products are a good way of doing it. Experiences are also a great way. I'm always kicking myself because, about 5 years ago, before Unyoked and all of those like camper vans, tiny houses thing became big, I was looking at this and I was like, I want to build these and sell them and rent them out. I want to do this. But obviously I was a uni student. I didn't have the money to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll start somewhere smaller. I'm kicking myself because it was a very cool product.
Cool. I mean, your side hustle is not bad though. It's led you this far, and like, it sounds like the campaign's like going really, really well.
Yeah, thanks.
Where are you hosting it? Sorry?
It's hosted on Equitize.
Equitize, okay.
Yeah, so it's going quite well. We obviously like launched it live yesterday at 10 a.m. So having almost $500,000 pledged for that so far is beyond our wildest expectations.
What's the size of the round?
We're opening up 10% of the business, 10 million valuation, and 1 million is the max.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to see how we go over the next couple of weeks, see if we can get it to 1 million. We'll really need it. It'll make a big difference between slow growth versus rapid growth. So we're going to hustle and try to raise and make that work.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fantastic, and like you say, you already got plenty of customers all over the world. That's really cool. And to have half your funding goal in the first day, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite surreal. Like the team have put so much work into it, so it feels like I'm in a football interview. The team's worked hard, but basically.
Are we being cut off? We're good. Oh, okay, that's cool. Well, I'd like to take some questions from the audience. How are we doing? not coming through there on sound. Sorry, we've got a bit of an issue there.
So, have you talked about your website yet?
Yes.
All right. So, link to Ashurst and link to Urban Growth are in the description below. Any other things? No?
No.
All right. Let's
Come
go
on down to
the
Fishburners next week.
And invest.
All right. So, and our link to the crowdfunding is in the link in the description below. If you watch it too late, you miss out the boat. Let's go to commercial, come back, and we'll see what we are going to do next.
Thank you for all the people that are watching online. I believe we have people from England, Israel, the US.
Okay, my name is Alex. I'm the founder of Clive.
First-hand dramatic impact of climate change.
We will send a read-only copy.
Please jump on here, send us.
Right, we are back. Oh, sit down.
back.
Otherwise, we're too tall for the camera. Okay. So the whole purpose of this live stream is to bring out the connection that you just demonstrate. How a pitch night and in the Sydney Startup Hub at Tech Central can make things happen. What do you think? How do you score yourself tonight, Clive?
Yeah, so it's Fishburners.
Yes.
So it's not. So the reason this happens.
You know, I run a lot of events.
Yeah.
This is your show.
Yeah, no, because Fishburners is all about people connecting with people, right?
Exactly.
And this tonight showed. You know, these are people building their businesses inside Fishburners.
Yes.
With the power of the Fishburner community.
That's
And,
fantastic.
you know, I think that two of them can be some very significant businesses.
Yeah.
And two of them, I think, have the opportunity to scale to become regional businesses too. So I'm very excited. It just shows that the community can do that. You know.
I was slightly on the edge of my seat over there. That Tam did not mention he is going to be featured on Channel 7 soon. He did not mention that at all.
Yeah. So in particular, as a founder,
Yeah.
it's finding the confidence to share everything. Right?
It's high pressure up there.
Yeah, so it's not high pressure, but as a founder, you need to grow when the business grows.
Exactly.
And you need to be you need to be more about presenting the business. And that's a phase of growth that people go through. And Tam is going through that right now.
Exactly.
So he's growing as a business person, as an entrepreneur. He's getting more confidence in his business.
Exactly.
And so that will become more natural to him going forward.
Yeah. But of course, he has lots of things in his head and squeeze it into 6 minutes.
Yeah. So I think he still has to do some work on that, right?
Yeah.
But overall, he was a great pitch.
So when is sorry, keep going.
No, all four of them are very investable companies.
Indeed.
And it's great, that we do this program once a quarter. We focus on four companies for a reason, because we can take them to that next level.
Indeed.
And now, getting money is still very difficult.
Indeed.
But it gives them the confidence to go and do that. And what I saw from Alan, from Loading, in the presentation, was he's doing that and he's doing it really well.
Indeed.
So I'm very excited by the fact that we're opening those opportunities within our community and giving people the opportunity to do that.
Fantastic. For all the other founders out there preparing for their next capital raising, how do they sign up?
So it's just be part of the community. So our community is physical here at Fishburners. It's online through our Founders Hub.
Yep.
It's talking to people who are your peers.
Yep.
And don't worry about being competitive or not competitive. People just share stories on how people can do things better. And if that can expedite your business, then you have more chance of being successful. That's what community is about. Peer-to-peer sharing of shit. Really, that's what it is.
Yep.
And that's what makes it successful.
With your own personal $10,000 seed investment, when it's available next time, which one will you go for first?
So, I think David's company is a no-brainer. That will be successful because they've been successful.
Yeah. And urban growth is amazing. They are 50% hitting their crowdfunding target.
So both of those for me have already gone past that.
Yeah.
So I just think for me personally it would be with Tam and Fora because he's not only doing a business which
you try to fly under the radar.
No, because he's creating something which we really need today.
Fantastic.
And, we need more mates, and we don't have enough mates. And I personally, it's like you get yourself in a cocoon. You don't have enough mates, and the mate element of anything in life gets you through a lot of shit.
Are you telling me that the networking in here is not overloading enough for you?
No, the networking people here, it's great, and it's all around the entrepreneurial spirit. But do I talk to them about my real passion about golf or soccer? No, because it's a different community, right?
We need to start up some hobbyist community, subcommunity inside Fishburners.
But that's what Fora can do, right? So Fora is about getting people of the same interests with different passions outside of their jobs, and they can just connect. And it's like there's no show. It's just have fun with mates.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think we have dragged enough for today, and we already hit our 30 minutes target.
All right. Thank you very much.
What shall we say? Link in the description below. Subscribe, ring the bell, and see you next time.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. And thank you.